Welcome into Hard Rock Stadium. Joe Schad and Jason Leisure getting comfortable. We have our camera set up nicely so you can see the field behind us.
Yes.
Hopefully it looks as pretty to you as it does to us. And boy, the Dolphins players were in a good mood after this one. What a difference a week makes and a win makes. And certainly one of the biggest upsets in the NFL this week. Dolphins pull off the upset of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and almost everything went right today, Jason. Let's start with Ryan Tannehill. Given an opportunity to actually have some decent protection in front of him for most of the game. He had 5 offensive linemen back in front of him. Tannehill made some really pretty throws.
He really did, and Joe, his stat line's not going to amaze anybody. I mean, 24 for 32, 252 yards, no touchdowns, interceptions. But Ryan Tannehill had at least 2 touchdown passes that were nullified by no fault of his whatsoever. One was a long drop, I think about a 30-yard, what would have been about a 30-yard touchdown pass to Devontae Parker.
Should have caught it.
He dropped in this end zone right here, and then down at the other end of the field, he had one to, I want to say, Dominic Jones that got called back for an illegal formation penalty that really didn't have much to do with the play. So very, very good game for Ryan Tannehill. It supports what Adam Gase has said, is that if the offensive line does their job and Tannehill has time, he'd be pretty good.
Part of the reason Ryan Tannehill had such success today, a balanced job of play calling by head coach Adam Gase, about as many runs as passes, and of course Jay Ajayi, the workhorse, 200 plus yards. First guy to top 200 yards in a Dolphins uniform since Reggie Bush. Jason, do we believe in Jay Ajayi? Do we think that he can actually be an above-average NFL running back?
Well, I believe in that offensive line, Joe, if it's healthy. When you look at a left side from center over where you got Pouncey, Pro Bowl center, Laramie Tunsil, possibly #1 pick type talent, who fell to them, fortunately, for Miami, and then a former Pro Bowler and first-round pick Brandon Albert at left tackle. That's a great start to any offensive line. Bushrod was solid. Juwan James didn't have any disaster plays really today. So overall, I believe in that line. I think if you stick a lot of guys behind that offensive line, they're going to be solid. Now, 200 yards, that's not something you get by accident. That is an excellent performance.
Ajayi ran with passion and purpose, determination. He wanted it, and that's something that Adam Gase has not seen from enough of his players. Jason, I felt there was a big statement made in the first 2 series. I did not see Mario Williams on the field. Mario Williams benched in favor of Cameron Wake, who had a nice game, a half a sack, could have had another one taken away via penalty. How about Gase's decision to bench Mario Williams, to go with more Cameron Wake today, and even Andre Branch came through. Andre Branch playing with passion, purpose, energy, determination. These guys seemed on edge on both sides of the ball.
Cameron Wake was in there. He was good against the run and the pass, Joe. And I think that Mario Williams, give him some time, he might come around. But Cameron Wake, the Dolphins know what this guy is. This is a proven commodity on the defensive line. They've been limiting him and holding him back, and they're saying this is to help him come back from that Achilles injury. You know, it's time to stop saving Cameron Wake and let him loose, and I thought he looked great today.
Coaches told Cameron Wake, be ready to play more. That worked out well. Coaches told Jay Ajayi, be ready to play more. That worked out well. Everything pretty much went well for the Dolphins today. The biggest fear coming into this game, Jason, was could the Dolphins contain Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell? And for the most part, they found a way to do it. Let's look at Antonio Brown. What, you get stats on Antonio?
Antonio Brown today targeted 8 times, 4 catches for 39 yards.
Amazing.
I think one of those was late in the game. When it was essentially over.
I was talking to Bobby.
And Bell, I'm sorry, if you want Bell's numbers, even more impressive really for the Dolphins. 10 carries, 53 yards, Joe.
Yeah, so I was speaking to Bobby McCain, the Dolphins cornerback, in the locker room after the game. I said, schematically, what did you do well to help slow down Antonio Brown? And he said that the Dolphins really disguised their coverage as well. Everybody in this stadium, the Steelers, they all knew that at a certain point you're going to roll 2 players onto Antonio Brown most of the time. But McCain was explaining to me that the Dolphins coaching staff did a nice job of strategizing to create more confusion for the offense. It's been a little bit of vanilla coming into the game. Here, they created some problems for Roethlisberger where he didn't exactly know when the help was going to come, if it was going to come, where it was going to come from. And then as McCain explained, when Roethlisberger was under pressure, now he's forced to make a quicker decision. That's why we saw the 2 interceptions, Rashawn Jones and Issa Abdul-Quddus, which was more than the Dolphins had coming into this game all year.
Yeah, and Joe, if I can jump in on you for a second. Guys, we'd love your questions. If you hit us with questions, we can see them coming in live in the comments, and we'll do our best to stop what we're doing and answer those when they come through. Please feel free. Joe, when you were watching this Pittsburgh passing attack, I don't think that we've seen anything like that this year. It's really impressive to watch, where Roethlisberger throws these balls into the flats that look like they're intended for no one, and it just is Brown or whoever, his receiver, swoops in right at the right time to get those. Just really a thing of beauty. There was plenty of plays today, I thought, in the pass coverage where the Dolphins had it covered as well as you could cover it, and you're just going to get beat.
You know what? A nice game, Byron Maxwell. We've been criticizing Byron Maxwell. The coaches have been criticizing Byron Maxwell. Byron Maxwell has been criticizing Byron Maxwell. He had 2 or 3 pass breakups on Antonio Brown in the fourth quarter when the Steelers were trying to claw back into the game. And you know what? Maxwell is a hard worker. You have to feel bad for how bad he has played. I mean, he's a guy who has really been an excellent NFL cornerback.
He's an established pro.
And was terrible for most of the season. So credit to him. Schad Jones had one bad play where he missed a tackle on the end around that went to Darius Hayward-Bay.
The 60-yarder
was a touchdown. Yeah. Basically got trucked. But then he comes back and makes the interception. So Schad Jones played well. The Dolphins linebackers played decent. The Dolphins defensive line actually tackled pretty well. This was a motivated group. I give Adam Gase credit. He cuts 2 tackles. He cuts a running back, a tackle and a guard, whatever they are. They're gone. And I feel like the team really, from the beginning of this game, played on edge.
You have a lot of guys in that locker room, Joe, that have had rough seasons, and they're out there to redeem themselves today. And you saw some of the offensive linemen, Ajayi, Byron Maxwell, probably more than anybody, has had a hard season. He was inactive, or not inactive, but benched and never saw the field in that Cincinnati game. Joe, we got a couple questions coming in here, and these are 2 kind of on the same wavelength from Sean Bartley. He wants to know, what do you think about next week? We're going to already move on to that. And Nando Peter is asking us, was this a kind of a fluke? Was it the Steelers losing a trap game? Or the Dolphins, is this, maybe they're better than we thought for the first 5 games? And that's really, Joe, the core of what you got to tackle after this game. Is this a fluke, or is this a one-time deal, or is this maybe what this team could be?
It's the great thing about a 16-week NFL season. 1 week you should lose to the Cleveland Browns. You don't, because of 3 missed field goals. 1 week you're actually a favorite to the Tennessee Titans, and it looks like you couldn't tackle Jason Leisure. No offense, Jason.
Oh, I'm fast, man.
And then this week, everything's completely different. So I think that the Dolphins need to figure out who they are, what they want to be, and where they want to go. And to me, the idea that they actually created a physical identity on the offensive line and in the defensive front is different than what this Dolphins franchise has been for a number of years. So, look, are the Dolphins still probably going to win 4 to 7 games? Yes. Mm-hmm. It's not going to change because they went out and upset the Pittsburgh Steelers. And keep in mind, the Steelers were a banged-up group.
Yes.
Sammy Coates was injured. Marcus Wheaton was out. Marcus Gilbert was out. Cam Hayward was out. So they were missing a lot of their key players in the same way the Dolphins were missing key players last week. So injuries always play a huge role as well.
Yeah, I think those, nonetheless, despite the injuries you were mentioning, I think this was the best roster they've faced this year. I mean, when you think about, at the time they faced New England, New England didn't have Brady or Gronk. I think clearly the best passing attack they've faced as far as quarterback and receiver. A lot of challenges for them with Pittsburgh. The thing I'd say it changed my opinion on, Joe, is you just watched them lose to Tennessee at home and should have lost to Cleveland at home, like you mentioned, and those are the gimmies on the schedule. That makes me wonder if they can beat anybody. But then they pull off a game like this, and now you don't just look at them as lost. For instance, next week against Buffalo, or lost, in over their heads against a team like the Jets. Now, those should be more even games, we would think, going forward than at least what I would have thought a week ago.
Now, there were Dolphin fans on Twitter. Schad Joe, what's yours? Jason Leisure?
Yeah.
Schad Joe, Jason Leisure.
You should follow me, Joe.
I do follow you. I often retweet you, Jason Leisure, as you do me, which is appreciated. Teamwork, like Cam Wake said.
Right.
The offense can't do it without the defense. Defense can't do it without the offense. I don't even remember the point I was going to make. What was I
don't either. Let's get to some questions here. What'd you think of Tannehill? I think we got that. That's from Billy Triplett. Thanks for writing it in, though. JT writes, that dude needs some Propecia, which I think is a hair supplement thing. I assume that's directed to me. Thank you, JT. I will take that under advisement. What else we got here? JT's still mad. This doesn't make up for all the horrible losses. JT, you need a hug, buddy.
I remember now what guys were saying to me on Twitter. Some of the people on here, I saw you on Twitter tweeting at me that the Dolphins were screwing up by winning because they want a higher draft choice. It is too early in the season to be rooting for draft choices. All right? You need to enjoy the Dolphins' victory and understand that today was a small step in the right direction for Adam Gase. And that's the point. These guys want to dump Ryan Tannehill. They want to dump everybody. But you know what? It is a long, miserable season. The Dolphins don't want to go 1-15. Dolphin fans shouldn't want to go 1-15 either.
Yeah. Chris.
No, good. What do you got?
Chris Thomas writes into us, why are these guys so close to each other?
Because it's a small box.
I like these better than the questions about the game.
You know what I asked?
It's love, man.
I asked.
I'm sorry, Chris Thomas, that you've never experienced a friendship like this, and I hope someday you do.
I want to tell you something I asked Andre Branch about. Andre Branch has been average this season. He got the start for Mario Williams and who usually and Jason Jones. So it's usually Mario Williams and Jason Jones. Today, they benched Terrence Fidei, they benched Julius Wormsley, and they went with Andre Branch and Cameron Wake. And those two played really well together. And I asked Andre Branch about that awkward moment where he thought he had a sack, and Cam Wake thought he was going to get credit for the sack. And they were both sort of doing a simultaneous sack dance, and then they saw each other. It was the funniest thing. I want to go back and watch the video. And Andre was basically like, look, if that was the worst moment of my day, I'll take it.
Yeah.
But those two combined on what could have been 2 sacks.
I believe it was 2.
Taken away by penalty.
Right. Let's see if we can sit a little closer here, Joe. Damian Espinosa writes into us. This is actually a good question. I like this one, and I don't think we really hit on this, even though we were talking quite a bit about Ajayi. Do you think that Ajayi can take the starting role and leave Foster at number 2? I think
Foster not look good.
We've been operating under the assumption, I think, that this is Foster's job when he comes back, and maybe not now.
I don't think so. I mean, they gave Arian Foster the ball on a critical 3rd and 1. He came up short, and I have to go back and see how the blocking was on that particular play, but you know, Foster returned. He's missed the last 3 games. You just wonder at this stage of his career, how much does Arian Foster actually have left? Came into the game averaging less than 3 yards a carry. Last year averaged less than 3 yards a carry. He is just not the same player. And you know what? If a 5th-round draft pick from Boise State named Jay Ajayi, who got left behind the first week, can come in and be the Dolphins' workhorse and bring passion, enthusiasm, emotion, gain yards after contact, which Ajayi does, catch the ball decently out of the backfield. It's amazing how far this guy has come. Why not?
Yeah. Another question that we got is about penalties. How do you get the penalties down? I'm sorry, let me double check who asked us that. That is...
Well,
I lost it. I know you asked it, but I'm sorry. Oh, Jonathan Anderson. There we go.
Juwan James was credited with at least 3. Now, one of them might have been the fault of a wide receiver who wasn't actually lined up properly. That was on the touchdown takeaway.
Yes, it was a touchdown pass to Jones, and I believe Jones was actually the offender on that one. Jones was not lined up in a proper formation. Juwan James was okay.
You know, James needs to clean up the penalties. He's been the biggest offender for the Dolphins this year. There were a couple of the one most ridiculous play, and if you guys were watching, please chime in here. J.J. scores a touchdown, I believe, or Damian Williams scores a touchdown. J.J. is celebrating with him on the end zone. They're dancing in the end zone.
Yes.
And the referee steps in between them, breaks up the celebration as someone throws a flag. That is an absolute joke. And the NFL is wondering why ratings are down, and I'm not saying this is the biggest reason, but come on, give me a break.
Well, why do we have to treat this like it's the military or church or some serious environment where you're not allowed to, to have, show color and have a fun time and celebrate?
And I spoke to Kenny Stills and Jarvis Landry about this topic this week. There's a little blog in the Daily Dolphin because Brandon Cooks was going to have to change his touchdown celebration on the boat. He actually did change his touchdown celebration today. It's unfortunate. I mean, as long as, like one of the guys grabbed, I think Andre Branch grabbed his crotch. I'm not a big fan of that. I don't grab my crotch after I write a nice story or post a nice Facebook
I sometimes
live.
Do.
Jason, that is
Can we edit that? We might have to edit that.
That is just not appropriate.
I might be suspended next week.
What do you got? You got final thoughts, parting thoughts?
Yeah, let me give you a couple quick thoughts ahead here. I really liked, I wish I could find the exact play here, but the punt at the end of the game from Matt Darr. Who was the player that pinned them down? Who was the player that got that? I can't think of it, but...
All I noticed is Matt Darr had one punt in the first half.
He had another really great...
But he had one punt in the first half. That is a breakthrough. Matt Darr. Now, we like Matt Darr, but less Matt Darr is a key to the Dolphins' success.
Matt Darr would like less Matt Darr, I think, but... Gosh, I wish I could find that, but it was a key play, a key punt. Matt Darr comes up with one of these at the end of the game when they're needing to pin Pittsburgh back, and I think they pinned him at the 3-yard line. It was terrific. A couple other notes here that I noticed off the stat sheet, Joe. this is kind of a bizarro stat for the Dolphins. Pittsburgh was 3 for 11 on third downs. Dolphins 7 for 14. The worst third down team in the league, I believe. I know they were a couple weeks ago. I haven't checked.
The Steelers were one of the best.
So and the Dolphins were terrific converting those today. And then also yards per pass attempt, the Dolphins were basically doubled up. Pittsburgh 8-4 in that category. And then 6 trips to the red zone. The Dolphins only got 2 touchdowns out of that. And part of that is, like you mentioned, the penalties and snafus and things like that. But 6 trips to the red zone, man, for a team that hasn't been getting there very often at all. That's progress.
This is not your traditional steel curtain defense. I'm sure Mike Tomlin was not happy after the game. But hey, a win is a win. The Dolphins will take it. Great breakthrough for Jay Ajayi. Nice game once again for Ryan Tannehill. I know he frustrates you guys because he's terrible one week and awesome the next. Such is life with Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah. Thanks for being here with us. Thanks for following our stuff on Palm Beach Post and on the Daily Dolphin blog. Facebook, Twitter, everywhere you can find us. You better check under your bed for us too. We'll catch you guys.
Dolphins win. It was a happy locker room. Everybody was happy.
It was.
Everybody was happy.
I'm happy.
It's nice.
Not about that, but
right about
just in
something
general.
a little different. See you guys.